Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is David. We are back here at the farm. We got the cows, we got the bees. Came out today just because I have not been here in far too long. Wanted to check in on the bees, and I thought I'd bring you along, show you what's inside these hives. Let's do it. So in this hive I have a mixture of my double frames, but then these bees came from a nuke. So there are some just traditional Langstroth deeps in here. That does mean that on some of them they're drawing out comb below the frame, kind of like this one. Kind of like that. So I just have to be a little careful when I'm looking at these. It's obviously not ideal. But it's the hand that I was dealt. So I'm trying to think of other ways I could go about that. Because obviously it'd be nice to have everything in a frame, but nucleus colonies are so great and they're already established. I am noticing that this hive doesn't have a lot of honey in it. It's looking pretty good on pollen supplies, but there's not a lot of honey. And you can see they're still even building out some. It's a good looking brood frame though. A lot of young bees coming in. But very little honey, and that's on par with what I've been hearing about this area. We went through kind of a dearth recently. So I'm thinking I might give these guys some sugar water when I wrap up here today. But let's keep looking. So down on this far end is where what honey stores they do have are. So you can see pretty nice frame there, but certainly one or two frames is not going to cut it coming into the fall here. So that's why I'm thinking I might feed them. They got a little more honey here, but other than this, it's just kind of scattered throughout the other frames. And you know, I'd love to be able to have them take a little more honey with them into the winter. So I'm not going to take any honey from this hive, which is a little unfortunate considering they were a nucleus colony and I had built frames, but I think that's just the way the summer's gone for a lot of beekeepers around here. And I really have not been feeding these guys. I try and not feed as much as possible. But we do have some good brood frames in here. Let me try and grab one, and a good example of my new double deep frames. There you go. Actually not a lot of brood on this one, but what are you gonna do? So just some other design things. Obviously there's a lot of propolis buildup in the summer, but it's fairly simple to scrape that away, and every hive is definitely going to have that. The frames do get stuck to the side of the hive a little bit down in there, so a couple of them I've had to kind of scrape along the edge before I can actually get them to come up, but that hasn't been too bad. The one big change that I've made, and I've actually updated my plans to reflect this, is my hive here, the frames are flush with the top of the hive. And my thought was that it would be the best way to conserve heat in the winter. But what I didn't really think about was after you're done inspecting, there are obviously going to be bees on top of your frames. Like, you just can't avoid that. And so then when you close the lid, it sits right on top and squishes those bees. So in the new plans, I've actually added another ridge that goes all the way around. And so these frames actually sit 3/8 of an inch down away from the lid. So even if it doesn't conserve the heat quite as well, those bees will still be able to survive when you close the lid. So kind of a big oversight on my part. My thinking is I'll put down some rope or something around the edge to fix this hive. But other than that, I've really enjoyed the way that it's been working. I think the bees seem to like it as well. I'll kind of point out the front here. So over here in the front, obviously I had to take off the front of the White House, but I've opened up the entrance a little bit, more to like maybe 12 inches wide, just so the bees can come and go without that narrow, new hive installation distance of, or opening of maybe like 2 or 3 inches. So yeah, I think I'm gonna close this hive up. I think they're just gonna go. I'll come back in a little bit and give them some sugar water. But let's check out that hive next. And as my old beekeeper friend likes to say, choo choo. All right, so we found the queen. If you can see her there on that, I guess, middle right. So found the queen. What's interesting is I've gone through about half this hive now, and there are not a lot of brood frames. I mean, if we look in here, I can see some larvae. I guess this frame is quickly going to be capped, but I'm curious to see what the second half holds, because so far there are not a lot of new bees being laid. Curious. I will say, these bees are incredibly docile. They're so fun. I have barely had to smoke them, and they're just chilling out. Yeah. Awesome. There are eggs in every cell. That's a great brood frame. That's what I'm looking to see. Alright, so, I mean, good news, there are a lot of new bees. Same kind of deal with this other hive, though, not a whole lot of honey production going on, so I'm going to see if I can dig out the feeders for this hive as well. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the peek inside these hives. Seems like they're doing alright. Hopefully by later in the fall we can get them looking pristine. But anyways, thanks for joining me. Until next time, happy beekeeping.